Motorhead rocks. I hope everybody here knows about Bang-A-Song Studios. Okay. And if you don't know about Bang-A-Song, please head behind CVS and walk in the door there and go up and see Tony Goddess. Not only an incredible musician, but an incredible, he's got an incredible recording studio. My son has recorded there and his friends, and please take a look. Tony Goddess, come on up.
Thanks for that nice introduction, Maureen. When she first asked me to do this, I said, oh, well, this will be easy. I'll just read from the book. And so some backstory. In the winter of 1992, I formed a band called Papa's Fritas, and we were pretty lucky and got to spend the next 8 years making records and touring the U.S. and Western Europe and Japan. And a guy I grew up with in Delaware did a couple of those U.S. tours with us and wrote a thinly veiled account of it. It's called You Think You Hear. His name's Matt O'Keefe, and I'm sure you can get it for 99 cents on Amazon. And if we come off good, it's just a thinly veiled account. And if we come off bad, it's totally fiction. But then I thought that's kind of cheap to just read someone else's story. And I realized I have some stories. And I figured I could tie it all into, I could all tell stories about my time in Memphis. So the first time I played in Memphis, it was Papa's Fritas. And it was the spring of 1994. I was not yet 21 years old, and we didn't have cell phones or the internet, so we pulled up to a giant cement building that was painted entirely black with a plywood stage that was painted black, and there was the bartender, owner, and 5 customers. There was a young couple in their third wheel, and there was Alex Chilton's bass player, and there was a really drunk dude. And the owner said, well, you guys got to play music till 1:30, so why don't you go on at midnight? And I think it was around 6 p.m. at the time. So I tried to engage Alex's bass player, and he wanted nothing to do with this little 20-year-old kid who was a fanboy. And so the owner said, well, why don't we watch some videos of bands that have played here before? And he said, I got one of G.G. Allen, who played here. I don't know if any of you guys know G.G. Allen. He's actually from New England. And we said, sure, what's G.G. Allen all about? And if you don't know, it's basically about the stuff that you find in the deepest, darkest reaches of the internet. And this video, he happened to give himself an enema on stage with the microphone. So needless to say, when we played, I did not let my lips anywhere near that microphone. I did sing into it, but I didn't get very close. And so, I should have realized that the owner of the club was kind of a scumbag, because we finished playing, and Alex's bass player left, but the young couple and their friend had stuck around, and the one really drunk guy stuck around, and he said, let me help you carry out your equipment. And he started helping us carrying out our equipment, and he also started bringing out the microphones and mic stands and things from the venue. So the owner came out and punched him in the face and knocked him unconscious, and we said, wow, we got to get out of here. We're little kids in this big, scary rock and roll town. So I think we were playing in St. Louis the next night. I don't know whether you drove straight up there. That was also our first time playing off the coast. I think we had been in New Orleans the night before. Anyway, that was our first time in Memphis, and I should have known, because the second time was uneventful. We played a place called Barristers. The first place was the Antenna, and we doubled our audience. I think we had 10 people there, but nothing really happened. The third time, we hadn't played Memphis yet. We'd played in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we had a great time playing in Little Rock, and it was hopping, and there was tons of kids, and we really were feeling it. We said, we got plenty of energy. Let's drive up to Memphis and spend the night with our buddy from New Orleans who'd actually moved there by that point. And so we were blocks from his house, and we said, let's stop and get some bananas and some ice cream or whatever we need for breakfast tomorrow. We pulled into a southern chain called Piggly Wiggly. I don't know if any of you know the Piggly Wiggly. And I guess I was just feeling like a cocky rock kid. I was 21 by that point. And I took a lollipop off the shelf and ate it while we were grocery shopping. And we finished, and I had stuck the stick in my back pocket, and we paid for our groceries, and I came out. We finished paying. We're walking out. And the manager came over and said, what happened to that lollipop that you were eating? I said, oh, my gosh, I forgot to pay for it. How much was it, 25 cents? And he said, officer, come over here. I need you to arrest this man for shoplifting. And the officer said, "Really? You're going to make me arrest him for shoplifting?" He said, "It's the principal." He said, "At 25 cents, it's the principal. I want you to take him downtown." So the officer did. I don't think he cuffed me, but he put me in the back of his car, and he told me, "I'm a musician, too. I play drums in a Christian metal band. We sound like Metallica." I said, "Well, that's cool. You really going to take me to jail?" And he said, I work for the people. I have to do this." So it was a Friday night. No, it was a Saturday night because we were planning on going to see Al Green. I don't know if you know this, but Al Green has a church in Memphis, and we were going to go see him on Sunday morning. So I was shattered that we might miss that. So Saturday night in the drunk tank in Memphis, and you're in there, and it was my first time in jail. I don't know if any of you have spent the night in jail before, but the drunk tank is just kind of a holding cell where everyone who's gotten arrested that night gets put, and there's guys with blood all over themselves and broken noses from fights and car accidents. And there's also people that have been there many times, and they're just sleeping. They've taken their shoes off, and they're using their shoes as their pillow. So I'm just like, I am not going to sit down on this floor. And I did after about 3 or 4 hours. And I said, I'm not going to lie down and put my head on this floor. But I took off my shoes and put my head on the floor. And so eventually, I don't think I had a watch. I certainly didn't have a cell phone. I don't know how long it was, but they catalog your possessions. And I think they basically issued us, scrubs, for lack of a better word. And they put us in this, we all got divided up into these little smaller holding cells. I'd say it was about 12 people per holding cell because they were just these thin little triangles with a plank on either side and a commode at the very end. And one of the dudes I was with must have spent many time in jail because he was feeling very comfortable taking a crap in front of the 12 other dudes sitting in there. So from there, I think they did actually put us into, I should have said defecate, sorry. They put us into the cells very briefly, and then I remember they took us to the showers. And we're all in there naked, waiting in line to take showers, and some dudes are smoking a joint. And I just couldn't, I didn't want to think about how that joint had gotten in there. Maybe they'd stuck it in their armpit or the hair, but needless to say, unlike myself at the time, I said no thank you. And yeah, I took a shower in the Memphis jail, and then the next morning we were brought in front of the judge, and the judge said, "Son, I think you have paid enough for your crime." And I called, on tour back then, you were always looking for payphones, and I found a payphone and tried to call my bandmates, and I could not get in touch. I just remember walking. I think the jail was kind of out in the suburbs. It wasn't like downtown Memphis. Just walking around trying to find them. They eventually found me, and we did play that night. Maybe we doubled our audience again and played to 20 people. Needless to say, that was the last time we played Memphis. We played Nashville many times, and I don't know, New Orleans, St. Louis, but we never played Memphis again. But I did go back there with my wife a few years later. Our buddy Matt was still living there, and we did get to go see Al Green at his church, and it was profound. It wasn't enough to convert me to Jesus, but it was certainly enough to make me feel that humanity is all I need. And I'd love to go back to Memphis again, and I just will be a little more careful next time. All right, thanks so much.